welcome to this very special edition on the Going Zero Waste YouTube channel. I'm Catherine Kellogg, and this is my husband,
Justin.
Norton. This is my husband, Justin Norton. I'm very excited to have a special guest because this is his very first time being on camera, speaking with his voice. He has been featured in a few photos on my Instagram feed, which are almost always the most engaged photos because everyone wants to know who's this dapper gentleman behind Going Zero Waste. And today, we're going to talk about a very often asked question, which is how do I convince my partner to go zero waste? And Justin wasn't necessarily super on board when we first started. So we're gonna go over kind of that history, how things changed for him. And then I also reached out to my audience on Instagram, which if you aren't following me on Instagram, you should do it. You should do it. You should pull up your phone, go to Instagram, give me a follow, and while you're at it, you should make sure that you like this video because it really helps get my channel out and with the YouTube algorithm. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so for a little bit of background, Justin and I met in 2013?
Yeah.
2013 at the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair. We were both actors and we lived across the hall in actor housing. I'm gonna throw up some pictures because we were really cute. And then you asked me to move with you to California after knowing each other for about 3 months. And then I said, why not? So we moved to California together, and about a year into our relationship, I decided that I wanted to go zero waste. And how did that go over? How was your reaction when I first told you that I wanted to do this?
So my first reaction was a little shocked because just the word zero waste is real scary. It's like, how do you possibly create no waste? That seems impossible. And then the whole trash jar thing, I was just like, wow. I was just real curious, I guess. And I was a little shocked at first, and after a while, I got used to it. So.
Do you remember what you said to me?
No.
Okay, so I promised Justin, in order to have him do this video, I promised him this video was not going to be chastising him in any way, and it totally isn't. However, I do think the first thing that he said to me when I told him I wanted to go zero waste was really hilarious. And that was, you just like took a sigh and you like looked at me and you were just like, I really thought I was finally dating a normal girl.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could take that back, sure.
No, I don't. I think it's hilarious. I think it's really funny.
Yeah.
We met at the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair. I was never normal. That was never in the question. Okay, so up first. Do you consider yourself to be zero waste now?
I'm definitely not as hardcore as you are.
No.
But I try to adopt as much as I can. And, you know, when we're living here at home, I mean, it's not really a big deal because, like, the house is kind of set up for that and it's pretty easy. We have, you know, substitutions for everything we might need. So that's easy, but it's like when I go to work, it makes things a little harder.
When did you first start warming up to the idea of going zero waste? How long after I said that I was going zero waste did it take you to kind of warm up to the idea?
Not long, like a couple months maybe. As soon as I saw like substitutions for, you know, the things that were plastic in our lives. So, you know, once I saw that the substitutions were just as easy and, you know, we set up our infrastructure in the home, it was pretty straightforward.
So Justin actually introduced me to my favorite zero waste swap of all time. He's the one that had to convince me to do it. Do you want to share what our favorite zero waste swap is?
Is it hankies?
Oh, you introduced me to that one too.
I don't know what else you're talking about.
Bidet.
Oh, the bidet, yeah. Get a bidet.
What zero waste things do you participate in or not participate in on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, I try to bring my bag everywhere. I have a dedicated water bottle that I'm always carrying around. Yeah, I don't know. Pretty much everything. I can't think of a lot of stuff that I don't try to think zero waste wise when I'm going into things. But
Did I ever nag you, criticize you, or get mad at you in the beginning?
no, you were very polite. You were very understanding. You weren't like pressing your beliefs on me, like, you know.
Goals achieved. And honestly, that is the secret. That is the secret to convincing anyone to change their lifestyle habits. It's not berating or yelling or nagging or doing anything like that. It's simply sharing what you're excited about, being passionate, being authentic and true to your values. And when people start to see how easy many of these changes are, then they become a lot more receptive to them. So don't push things on other people. Let them come to the decisions and the conclusions by themselves. What is your favorite zero waste swap?
I'm into the bamboo toothbrushes. Those are pretty good. Yeah, I think stainless steel water bottles make a lot of sense.
Water bottle, it's always a good choice.
They're easy to clean.
And speaking of cleaning, I have to give this man some props. Do you know who does almost all of the housework in this relationship? This one. This one right here. He does all the laundry and he hangs it all to dry. And then he folds it all. I still have to put it up, but he does the majority of it, and I couldn't be more proud. I couldn't be more happy. He also vacuums.
Yeah.
Yes, it's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. How much zero wasting would you do if I weren't a part of your life?
I mean, you definitely introduced me to a lot of things, so it's hard to say if I would have went out and researched those on my own without knowing you.
Okay, this is what I want to know. This is what I want to know. If I were to die tomorrow, would you still use reusable towels?
Oh yeah, totally, 100%.
Really?
Yeah.
Would you still bring your reusable bags to the grocery store?
Yeah. I mean, we're kind of required to sometime. Well, before all this.
Before all this, yeah. Interesting. Would you buy... No, here we go. Would you buy food from the bulk bins in your own container?
I mean, yeah, if like...
Lies. Lies. Be honest.
If I like... The problem with the bulk bins is like, I don't know, it's like not a lot of stuff I would normally go for. Like, just like beans and rice and...
You love rice and beans.
I do, but I don't know.
Okay.
Candy. There's always candy in bulk bins. It's like, who eats all this candy?
It's a good question. That is a really good question. Now, I'm going to go to some questions from my audience. This is my favorite one. What is the weirdest thing I've asked you to do in the name of zero waste?
Probably to go to the donut shop to get like a dozen donuts, but you wanted me to bring a cake, this giant cake carrier to put the donuts in. I'm like, they're in cardboard boxes, like, it's all right.
I think I remember this. This was in 2017. This is when we lived in the bungalow.
Yeah.
We worked at Color Zone. We brought the donuts in too. Mm-hmm. Did you get them to go in the cake carrier or did you get them in a cardboard box? I can't remember.
No, I got the cake. You insisted I bring the cake carrier, so I did.
That sounds like me. That sounds accurate. Okay. So, what would your advice be to other people who are trying to get their partners on the same zero waste page?
Probably just ask them what they think they would be missing if they adapted to the zero waste lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And then you can come back with, oh no, there's a solution for that. Here it is, you know. I think if you just like break down the swaps, it's pretty hard to argue with.
I also think issuing a challenge. So like try it for 30 days, and if it doesn't work, we'll go back. I feel like I probably did this for several things, just being like, hey, try it for 30 days, and if you hate it, we'll stop. And then most of the time, we reached a pretty good compromise. For instance, I know that you love your ice cream. And so he still gets ice cream every now and then, but it's not like getting it every week like we were, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Small things. And that leads me to another question. Is there something that you really, really miss from your pre-zero waste days?
Just like junk food, probably.
I was going to say ice cream.
Like stuff like Hot Pockets and stuff that's really bad for you. You probably shouldn't be eating anyway.
Yeah. I will say he still does sometimes bring junk food home every now and then, and
Yeah.
I actually get kind of jealous sometimes. I'm like, oh, it looks really good.
It's really hard to say no to those cravings that you've built up over 30 years.
I will say the corn chicken-less nuggets, they're like vegetarian nuggets. They come in a cardboard box without any plastic, and that is like my snack. That is like my every now and then treat yourself, and he loves them too. So that's kind of our like, ooh, we're gonna indulge. We're gonna get some nuggets in this cardboard box. Except they're vegetarian nuggets.
Veggie nuggets.
No veggie nuggets. They're
They
excellent.
taste just like a chicken nugget, so.
I mean, I really like this one because it's very self-serving. So, do you think Catherine would ever consider running for public office?
I mean, she did already. Well, she didn't run. She was like appointed.
I was appointed.
So.
In an advisory capacity to the city council. I had a 3-year term, which ended last year. So,
Yeah.
fulfilling my Leslie Knope fantasies.
But I do recall you being very frustrated with the bureaucracy.
Yes.
So I don't know if you have it in you to deal with that.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a very eye-opening experience. I'll just put it that way. If you'd like to see a video about my experience being involved in local government, especially as a very young person, I was the youngest person on my board and commission by a long shot. I think there was one guy who was in his mid-40s, but everyone else was definitely 50 plus. And so being in my 20s, being in public office, I had very different views than everyone else. And so it was...
Different life experience.
Yes, it was a very different experience. So, tips for getting guys involved in zero waste. It seems the pressure mainly falls on women. Can I add something to this before we go? There have been a lot of really interesting articles. One that I actually talked on, which I believe is the gender politics of going zero waste, which was done on Vox, I believe, which is talking about our family dynamic. And one of the reasons that I love Justin and that I love our family dynamic so much is that a lot of the normal pressures that fall on women in relationships, like doing all the housework, carrying the mental load, cleaning, cooking, working a job, taking care of the kids. We don't have kids. But, you know, many of the things that typically fall on women, for us, feel like it's very evenly distributed. Even when we first started dating, our dating was very equitable. He would take me out to dinner, I would take him out to dinner. Everything was split. I feel like we very much have a partnership in every sense of the word when it comes to splitting household chores. And when one of us gets really busy, the other one recognizes that the other person is busy and then takes care of things. I don't have to ask him to help me. He just does it. And similarly, he doesn't have to ask me to help him. I just do it because we understand the problems and the things that happen in this household so evenly and so well that we don't need to ask the other person to do something. Neither one of us parents, for lack of a better word, the other partner. Now I know obviously if we have kids, that's going to throw a huge like wrench into how everything is structured. But I think both of us going in with this very even mindset, things are naturally very different for us. So I'm also, now I'm going to pass that question off to you, which is what are tips for getting other guys involved, and how can zero waste is seen as very feminine simply because it is a consumer lifestyle choice in that it relies on purchases and on consumption.
Not to bash on guys or whatever, but we probably don't have our priorities in order, like the majority of us. Like, going to the grocery store, they're like, that's the last thing they want to do, right? And then having to think ethically while you're doing it, it's just like, it's too much for them. It's no excuse. It's not good behavior, or, you know.
Do you feel like you could identify with some of those traits in your life before you committed to going zero waste?
Oh yeah, sure. Convenience ruled, for sure. Convenience and affordability.
What do you think flipped that switch? I mean, I feel like affordability has always been something that we've paid a lot of attention to, you know, with our grocery budgets. I'm obsessed with budgeting. You can ask him. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with budgeting. So, I mean, I feel like affordability plays a huge role into our food choices. So, where do you think that switch flipped for you into caring more about your purchases?
I don't want to sound like, you know, a parrot, but just finding the swaps and seeing, you know, okay, if I bought this organic with less packaging, it's not that much more money, tastes just as good. So once I was more aware of like the different types of products out there, and that's the other thing, guys probably aren't advertised a lot of these things. Like, I know I'm never advertised like brush with bamboo or stuff like that. Like, it's just like we don't get that. We get like video games and sports.
That is also has something that's been really interesting, is tracking what he's advertised to on Instagram versus what I'm advertised to, as well as like even like our feeds, like the way our feeds are displayed and whose information is shared before others. It's really interesting to see how they target and segment and separate us. I did an AMA and I had about 40 people ask me, and then in this Q&A too, kids, question mark. So here we are for that loaded question. Justin, I'll defer to you.
Kids are great. I don't know. What's the question?
As a whole, we like them. I think that's actually the perfect answer. Kids, we like them. Dogs, we also like them. Cats, we like them. That actually seems like the perfect way to answer that. I'm going to answer that question that way from now on. So what do you think about having kids? Kids, I like them. They're good. They're good. But no, people are wanting to know if we are planning on having kids.
Someday. Nothing planned yet.
It's a great place to leave it. Okay, well, I really hope that you enjoyed this video. You better hit that like button because Justin showed up. And if this video gets a bunch of likes, then I'll have a lot more leverage of getting him into other videos. And look at this face. He needs to be on camera. He's got a good looking face. So thank you so much for joining us. Hit that subscribe button to be notified when new videos are coming out. And if you would like to see any more content with Justin, featuring him, his favorite zero waste swaps, anything like that, let me know in the comment section down below, and we will see you later. Bye. Cheers. We did it.